We find ourselves at the boot of the vehicle where it's got that one of those foot things where you just put your foot underneath and then when it wants to. Welcome to today's edition of HM Car Reviews. Today we find ourselves with a Volkswagen Tiguan. Although the Tiguan originally came out in 2007, it got completely redesigned in 2016. Today we have the current generation, the 2016 onwards, this time presented as a 2017 with a 2-litre engine, 2-litre diesel engine in black. The Tiguan quite obviously is an SUV. I've already compared it to the Kia Sportage in a previous video of mine. But if we're taking a look over on the outside, we've fitted with this two-tone alloy wheels and also the roof rack. If you ever need to go away on holiday, you can put your big luggage thing on top of it and that would be absolutely fantastic. We find ourselves at the boot of the vehicle where it's got that one of those foot things where you just put your foot underneath and then when it wants to, it will lift up eventually. So you don't actually have to press a button, which is pretty cool. If we stick with the boot, we find that you got this parcel shelf thing that stays in place. Inside there you're finding your spare wheels, but we can get rid of that now, we don't need it. So if we shut that down and then to shut the boot, you've also got the button there, brings that back down, locks it safely. One thing that I really quite like what Volkswagen have done is they haven't incorporated the design of an exhaust pipe into the bumpers. You know those fake exhaust pipes? Quite clearly we got real ones, so that's, you know, kudos to Volkswagen for that. So we're finding ourselves in the back of the Tiguan where we've got these dinner tray type things, just like you sort of see on like an airplane. You can put your drinks up there, maybe a small sandwich, something like, or even a small laptop. If you wanted to do any work in the back of a Tiguan, probably not recommended. It's not Rolls Royce. It's not the most comfortable in the back, but it's perfectly adequate for, you know, families or who will be the main buyers of it. You also got some cup holders in the car as well in the back, and of course your air conditioning vents and your electric window. We find ourselves on the front of the Tiguan where we've got a bunch of storage area. Your glove box as per usual. You also got one up here in the dashboard. It's not too big, you probably store a small phone in there. You got your sunglasses case up here. You also got one to the other side of the steering wheel as well. So we're going to start up the Tiguan. So it's foot on clutch and you press the engine start stop button down there. It will start it all up. You also got your auto start stop there, your electronic handbrake as well. We're going to have a look at the navigation. Something that's kind of interesting is there's a little sensor, so you can wave your hand up it and all of the functions come up. So if you click on new destination, you can enter your address down there. If we look on the menu, if we click onto vehicle, it comes up with our vehicle settings. That's where the traction control is hidden. So turning it off, you click into settings. Currently it's activated and that's where you turn that off there. But as we probably need it, we'll leave it back on. You can also adjust your lights here as well. Your tyres, your driver assistance, which is your engine start stop system and lane keep assist and all that sort of stuff, and mirrors, kind of interesting. So just like in the placement of a lot of other vehicles, your mirror adjustments are all done down here. You can also put the mirrors in like that and then out again like that. Whilst we're sat in the driver's seat, if we have a look around as well, I've already shown the glove box, the extra storage thing, and the one down there. But you also got extra storage down here. You can put a large bottle down there. It's exactly the same on the other side, so we don't have to have a look at that. Just like in a lot of cars as well, you've got your cruise control. You also get your stereo volume settings and telephone settings over on the other side as well, but you also got your cup holders located down here. They move about, so for different sized cups and whatnot. If you want to shut that back up, you also got you know the storage thing down there. You can put not too much down there, probably a drink of some sort. That's all well and good. One thing that's also kind of cool with your auto hold for your handbrake, you can press that, and whilst it's on, you know, it engages the handbrake for you. I've always found when it comes to turning the handbrake off, I would just drive off, let it turn itself off. It's absolutely fantastic. With the whole setup we've got here, just like in most other cars, you got your air conditioning and sort of heater down there. There's nothing too unfamiliar on this. Your phone settings, your radio settings, your media settings, your navigation. We already had a little quick look at the navigation. Apps, there's not really too many apps. That's your Apple CarPlay, Android CarPlay and that sort of stuff. Menu's just the overview of absolutely everything you can do on there. There might be something interesting in settings. It doesn't appear there's that much in there. You get internet, but a lot of cars have that as well. We continue on this bit. Air conditioning. You can also play around with it on there just as you can down here. You've got the two options available. They do exactly the same function. I probably prefer just to play around with the buttons instead of touching a button. It's entirely optional which one you would prefer as well. Volkswagen have given you both options. Whilst we're looking in the navigation settings, if we have a look on settings itself, in case you were unaware what the speed limits were in the UK, you can look them up right there. In order to open up the bonnet, you'd pull this lever towards you and that will open up the bonnet. And holding up the bonnet is this hydraulic pump as well. If we take a little look at the 2-litre diesel that's in this Volkswagen, it's covered in the plastic protector that pretty much all cars are covered in as well. The turbo is hidden underneath here. It is of course a turbo diesel. So we'll get to driving the vehicle itself. Let's put it into reverse and get out. We have got parking sensors, which is always fantastic and helpful. Sadly, no backup camera. I would like that. Some of them have them, some of them don't. This particular one doesn't have it. So we're driving in Northampton itself on the Bracknell's trading estate. Hardly the most beautiful of locations, but nonetheless, let's move that back here. Nonetheless, it will all be okay. Roads are probably what most people who own these sorts of cars would be driving on anyway. It's a trading estate, business park, 40 miles an hour, you know, it's a commuter car really. A commuter car for the family. It's comfortable enough, particularly on a long journey. My friend had one for a couple of hours. Well, drove one for a couple of hours. He drove one from Northampton to Snowdonia, so well, it's like 6 hours. No complaints whatsoever. Being diesel, it was fairly economical, which is what you want. The vehicle is no sports car, but when you need to get up and go, you know, being diesel is a torquey engine. It will get you going, as we can demonstrate probably better right now as we've got an open bit. In terms of road noise, the engine's quite loud actually. Louder than I was expecting it to be. I don't know why the hell is. Maybe it's the sort of glass that they use or the insulation or anything like that, but the car feels solid. The steering wheel is nicely sized, feels great to touch. The indicators are easy to use, so are the washers, etc. You know, it's a nice, well put, solid together car, sort of as you would expect for a German car. German cars tend to be well built and well engineered. This one is no exception. You know, there's plenty of room in here. It's a lovely car. Although I haven't been driving it for the entire 656 trip that's currently read on it, the average miles to gallon is being read at 49, which is pretty good really. It's what you'd expect for a diesel. It's not the lightest of cars, of course. It's an SUV, it's not going to be that light. The 49 is perfectly respectable. I think Volkswagen's they have a little bit of a reputation when it comes to the diesels, sadly due to Dieselgate from a few years ago. This particular diesel, they've tried a lot to try and make it more CO2 friendly by adding AdBlue, which is this extra substance that you mix with the fuel to reduce on CO2 levels. It's EU regulation to why diesels need to have it. Petrol soon will be having it as well, so we've all got that to look forward to. The Tiguan is an exceptionally built car, as German cars tend to be. If we have a look at some of the specs of the car, we find that it's got 140 horsepower out of its 2-litre engine. It's also got about 250 torques, which is good enough to pull it from 0 to 60 in 9.3 seconds. Its top speed is 127 miles an hour. The Tiguan starts at 24,500, which is more expensive than the Asian rivals. The Asian rivals are just as well equipped, just as comfortable, cheaper to buy, and often come with a longer warranty. If it were me buying, I would probably choose one of the Asian rivals over the German vehicle, but as we all know, European cars do come at a premium. The vehicle as tested weighs nearly 2.2 tons. People with SUVs quite often like to tow with them, so when it comes to towing capacity, you can tow up to 2 tons, which is quite a lot. The torque of the engine really does help with that, and so does the strength of the bodywork. If it were me buying the Tiguan, I'd recommend the 4-wheel drive version over the front-wheel drive version. The extra benefits include the traction and extra torque that comes with that as well. That is by far more superior than the front-wheel drive version, and in an SUV you want more traction. When it does come to buying the car, you've got to really ask yourself the question, do you really need the Volkswagen badge? If that's a yes, go ahead, buy it, but if not, have a look at some of the cheaper alternatives, particularly from the Asian auto manufacturers. The cars there are just as well equipped, spec'd, and are cheaper to buy. They also benefit from a longer warranty. Really consider those points as to whether or not you'd like to go for a Tiguan or for something else. So that concludes my review of the Volkswagen Tiguan. If you want to view more, please do like, share, comment and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you very much and goodbye.